Well, finally, it's underway. A trial meant to heal Cambodia's deep wounds. 30 years after some 1.7 million people were killed, prosecutors have 4 former Khmer Rouge leaders in court accused of genocide and crimes against humanity. Our Sarah Seidner reports from Phnom Penh on the long wait for justice.
Tan Than and his friend Juan Sear walked to the airport road the Khmer Rouge forced them to build. For Tan, the memories of those times are too much to bear. It was here he saw people die of starvation. It was also here he was separated from his brothers.
They separated me from my older and younger brother here. That's why I cry. I don't know where they were taken to be killed.
As it turned out, the road to the airport that was never even used was to be his last work site before being taken to this site to be executed.
Some of us grabbed the knives and sticks from them and we fought back. Then I ran this way.
He escaped. His sister-in-law, who happened to work nearby, says she saw truckloads of other people who did not. The soldiers were shooting and the people on the truck had nothing. When the people got off the truck, they tied their hands. They walked the people to the hole they dug. Then they killed all those people, and then a second truck came. These skulls are a grim reminder of the massive scale of death and suffering the Khmer Rouge unleashed on its own people. In its short reign, the Khmer Rouge is said to be responsible for the deaths of 1.7 million people, about a quarter of Cambodia's population then. And now, more than 30 years later, 4 surviving leaders of that time are being put on trial.
For the Cambodians, this is important, but also as a precedent for the rest of the world, that even after 30 years, you still might face justice. And there is no impunity for serious crimes such as genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes. It's an important signal.
The Khmer Rouge's aim was to create a communist utopia, but instead, the regime forced Cambodians into a living hell. City dwellers were marched into the country. Currency was abolished. Anyone with an education was considered a threat. The country isolated itself, trying to become completely self-sufficient. The results were disastrous. People died of starvation. Soldiers tortured and killed anyone suspected of being disloyal. Bu Meng was one of the few people who survived after being taken to the infamous Tuol Sleng prison. This was his tiny cell, where he says he was routinely beaten until bloody.
The most painful thing was when I was already wounded and they took a bamboo stick and stabbed me repeatedly in the wound.
The man who ran this prison was convicted last year in the first trial and sentenced to a long prison term. Over the course of the proceedings, 31,000 Cambodians attended. Tens of thousands more are expected to show up for case number 2, in which the actual leadership is being tried. For the first time, victims are hoping to hear the answer to one burning question. Why would a government treat its own people this way? Sarah Seidner, CNN, Phnom Penh, Cambodia.
Well, let's get more on the people being prosecuted and what this process means for Cambodia. Gregory Stanton joins us from CNN Washington. He's president of Genocide Watch and director of the Cambodian Genocide Project. Gregory, welcome to the program. Now, first of all, let's just begin individually with each of these people who are currently on trial. Let's start off with Nguyen Chi, who is brother number 2. That was what he was known as during the time of the Khmer Rouge. What can you tell us about him?
That's correct. Yes, Nguyen Chi was really the architect of the whole murder system. He was one of the chief ideologists. In fact, the reports that Duch had to give were often initialed by Nguyen Chi. So he was very well aware of what was going on. And what's really more extraordinary is he still denies that he did anything wrong. He said it was all for the good of the country.
Is he the main one here that people are watching what happens to?
I think that the others are just as important.
Let's talk about the foreign minister.
The others are just as important. Khieu Samphan was really the chief ideologist. He was the one who wrote the PhD thesis in Paris that really kind of outlined the future for Cambodia. You know, a completely agricultural, communal state that wouldn't even have money. It's the only country in history that has abolished money. We also, and he denies the charges. He even wrote a book in which he was head of state. So he says at the end of the book, you may wonder, you know, why is it that as head of state I didn't know that all this was happening? And of course, my response was, yes, I was in fact wondering just that. The truth is, of course, it was a lie. He was a member of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Cambodia. The third person, Ieng Sary, was the Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs. He came back to Cambodia, immediately ordered or asked all Cambodians who were abroad to come home to help rebuild the country, and just as soon as they arrived, they were sent and they were executed. So he, in fact, also is one of the major mass murderers. His wife, Ieng Sary's wife, was Ieng Thurit, and she was Minister of Social Affairs, so she was very much involved also in the Central Committee of the Communist Party. She, by the way, has actually directly accused Nguyen Chea of heading up the killing system, just as Duch himself did. In other words, these Khmer Rouge have essentially fashioned their own nooses.
So these are the four primary members of the Khmer Rouge that we're talking about, but you know they're certainly by no means the only Khmer Rouge cadres who are out there, and many want to see more trials actually happen after this. But Prime Minister Hun Sen says, no, this is it. This second trial of these four is going to be the final trial. What is behind that thinking?
Well, I think there are two things. First of all, these are very old people. They're 79, they're 85, they're 82. Most of the top leaders of the Khmer Rouge, you know, are very old. So it's going to take a year or two to even try these people. So that's one aspect of this. It's an expensive trial. So, you know, it's cost $100 million. How long can you keep going with these kinds of trials? Now, there are, of course, other people who could be charged in a third trial. But one of the aspects also politically is that Su Met and Met Mia, who were formerly in the military, the head of the Air Force and the head of the Navy, came in a peace agreement in 1998 and have been reintegrated into the armed forces. They're retired now, but the question is, you know, do you want to blow up that peace agreement and return the country to civil war? No, you don't. And I think that's one of the reasons why the Prime Minister has made that kind of pronouncement. Now, he doesn't have the decision-making authority, however, in this case. He could pull Cambodia out of the tribunal, but I don't think he'll do it. The judges will decide this. In this case, the investigating judges decided that there was that these other two people weren't among the top people, and so that they shouldn't be put on trial.
Gregory, I have no doubt that we shall speak to you again as this process unfolds. For now, though, I thank you very much for your time. Gregory Stanton there.
Thank you.